It all started with when I thought I had a case of bed bugs. And when I had an exterminator, he came in and said, "You don't have bed bugs." Then after that, I was feeling very tired and lethargic, and really I just didn't want to go to work. I felt not like myself. And then I started having numbness in my hands and my feet. And at that point, I went to a neurologist who first diagnosed me with mono. After that, I started acting paranoid. I had hallucinations, and then I had a seizure. Because I literally don't remember the good part of the month that I was in the hospital, I had to rely on medical records, interviews with doctors, interviews with my family, interviews with my boyfriend. You know, pretty much I had to just recreate that time using the skills as a journalist. There's video that exists of me in the hospital, and when I watch it, it's very much, I'm watching this other Susanna, this other person that is so far divorced from who I am now. I mean, she's frightened, she's angry, she's just terrifying. And in a lot of ways, I've been trying to reconcile who that person was with who I am now, and what part of me is this kind of monstrous person. And through the course of researching this, I've come a little bit closer to understanding that other Susanna, but she's always a stranger. She's someone who I have to dig really deep outside of myself to really understand. I have to ask other people. I have to read pages of medical records to get anywhere close to understanding who that person was. Towards the end, I stopped being paranoid, and I stopped having these unbelievable hallucinations, and I started becoming catatonic. I hardly moved. I had no emotional register. I just kind of stared off into space. I had very rigid movement. And basically, now I know, looking back then after my research, that I was heading towards what would most likely have been a coma, and for some people, death. I was ultimately diagnosed by Dr. Suhail Najjar at NYU. He was the first doctor to really sit down and see the whole picture, the bed bugs, the paranoia, the hallucination, the catatonic state. He also noticed I had high blood pressure. At one point when he visited me for the first time, he did something that no other doctor asked me to do. He asked me to draw a clock. And it's a very simple procedure. I had gone through $1 million worth of blood tests, MRIs. This is one clear step that he asked me that cost nothing. Basically, he gave me a piece of paper and asked me to draw in 1 through 12. And I drew every single one of those numbers on the right-hand side, which showed that I had inflammation in the right side of my brain. After a brain biopsy and a spinal tap, they ultimately diagnosed me with what is called anti-NMDA receptor autoimmune encephalitis, which is, in short, when your body's immune system attacks the brain. The hardest part for me was the recovery, and it was the hardest part to write as well. At that point, I had lost my identity, who I was. Everything about my personality was just gone, and I had to rebuild that from scratch. I'm reminded of the scar I have from my brain biopsy on my head, and I know I'll never be the same person that I was before. And I think it's given me such purpose in my life, because I feel like this story and living through this horrible time has given me the strength to help other people and the ability to help other people, which I think is the most wonderful gift of the whole thing.